Here they come.
Welcome to another episode of Here They Come. I'm Paul Ramlow.
And I'm Kate Lockhart.
Starting off this week, Kate, one of the most anticipated debuts in harness racing is set to take place in less than a month. Auckland Reactor, the defending New Zealand Horse of the Year and a 6-year-old son of Mach 3, is less than a month away from making his North American debut in a qualifying race at the Meadowlands. Harness Racing Communications' Ellen Harvey talked to trainer Kelvin Harrison, who reported that the pacer is doing well and we should be able to see him on the track in less than a month.
It was interesting, Paul. I noticed that Kelvin Harrison also mentioned the horse arrived in February, which is the summer for New Zealand and the winter here in the States, and really battled with the cold when he first got here. And now that the weather's warmed up, he's dealing with allergies. So it sounds like the horse is still training well, and I really look forward to his return to the track at the beginning of May.
Yeah, absolutely. Auckland Reactor is now owned in North America by the AR Stable, and his ownership group has paid almost $40,000 in stakes payments to make him eligible to the major races this summer.
Other big news this week, Paul, out of Maryland, the sale of Rosecroft Raceway, which was supposed to take place between its current ownership, Cloverleaf Enterprises, and Mark Vogel, was blocked by a bankruptcy judge. Unfortunately, it looks like this is going to be the end of the racetrack there. Cloverleaf has announced that they plan on closing operations on April 19th.
Yeah, Rosecroft Raceway has such a storied history, Kate, and that's awfully bad news to see that they may not be racing again. In their glory days, they served as a feeder track for Roosevelt and Yonkers Raceway. Billy Houghton and other top stables used Rosecroft as a base. Many great races, including the Miller Memorials over the years. It'd just be very sad if Maryland harness racing comes to an end. In this week's interview segment, Kate caught up with top young driver Matt Kakaley, who currently is driving at Mohegan Sun at Pocono Downs.
Well, thanks, Matt. I appreciate the time. I was wondering, when you headed to Pocono last month, you said you had just the one account there. You were driving for Ron Burke and his stable. It's a great account to have for a young driver like yourself. How did you make the connection with the Burkes?
The connection was actually made when I was 18 and I was in Florida. Mickey Burke himself came up to me and offered me a job and wanted me to drive for him in Ohio. And I was enthused about it, so, I automatically just jumped at it. And, I've been talking to Ronnie all winter, and he was kind of planning this for a couple months, and, it just happened.
Well, while you were down in Florida this winter, you mentioned that you learned a lot from Wally Hennessy. I was wondering if there's any driver in particular you're keeping your eye on at Pocono that you're learning things from while you're driving there.
Right now, Jimmy Morrill, he just, the way he can keep a horse alive, and just, he doesn't ever, he's just so effortlessly. He's a great driver, and he is one that I look up to over here.
Yeah, one of the things I saw in a story we did on you is that you're working on getting better and better as a driver all the time. Is there anything that you do on a nightly basis to try to improve your driving skills?
I watch replays a lot, just to see what I did wrong in a race, or, just things that I could, maybe improve a little bit.
Last year was a great year for you. You won some big races, including the Battle of Lake Erie with Foiled Again. And then your biggest purse win was in the Kentucky Sire Stakes final for 3-year-old Colt Pacers with Sheer Desire, after which you went on to drive Sheer Desire in the Jug. How was that for you as someone who's lived in Ohio, getting a chance to drive in the Little Brown Jug?
Oh, that was awesome. It was the greatest thing ever. I was actually done for the day, and Brooks actually had 2 in the final, and Dave decided to drive the other one. So Ronnie called me and told me to get ready, and I got the other drive on Sheer Desire, and, I was ecstatic. That was the greatest thing ever.
That's fantastic. Is that, if you had to pick one race that you'd like most to win, is that the one you'd pick?
Yeah, just because it's just a great place, and, it's such a big crowd, and just the vibe there is awesome.
Well, another distinction you have is that you're the youngest driver in the history of the sport to reach the 1,000 win mark. Was that a goal you were working towards, or was that something you were aware of at the time as you were reaching or approaching 1,000 wins?
It just kind of snuck up on me at that point. And then, after a few more hundred, I was getting close. Everybody's like, oh, you're going to get it for sure, and I didn't want to jinx myself or anything, but, I thought about it when I was getting close, and, it was a great accomplishment, and, it was a great way to do it, I was hoping I could do it at Northfield Battle Lake Erie night, but I came close. But it was still a great thing, and I'm very proud of it.
All right. Well, thanks, Matt. I really appreciate the time.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Kate and Matt. That was really great. Karsten Bonsdorf, USTA foreign European correspondent, sent us a story earlier this week about an accident that occurred in Norway at the Klostergogen Grand Prix. 3 drivers were just totally catapulted into the air in one of the most horrific accidents I've ever seen.
It really looked awful, Paul. But the good news is that the horses themselves sustained very little injury.
Yeah, Karsten reported they all should be back driving this week. Employers in the sport of harness racing and prospective employees are reminded that the Harness Racing Museum and the USTA will hold the 2nd annual Equine Job Fair on Wednesday, April 28th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the museum in Goshen, New York.
Job seekers are encouraged to bring 20 copies of their current resume for prospective employers. And if prospective employers or job seekers have any questions or would like any more information, they should contact Ellen Harvey at hrcnews@ustrotting.com, or she can be reached by phone at 732-780-3700. Next up is the Hollywood Minute with Bob Hollywood Heyden and Nicole Kraft. It's now brought to you by the Trotting and Pacing Guide. The 2010 edition of the guide is now available. To order your copy, visit shop.ustrotting.com.
Holly, it's April, and we think a lot about foals being born in April, but I'm surprised at how many drivers are born in April, among them the most notable, John Campbell.
That's right. April 8, John Campbell turned 55. His stats are so amazing through the years. I'm going to take a look at a few of them. How about the fact that he was in the top 5 24 straight years from 1979 to 2002? When you consider that Dave Miller currently has the longest streak at 11, gives you an idea of how incredible that streak is. And John has been the all-time leading money-winning driver all the way back from 1987 in July when he overtook Hervé Filion. And he started at 3 Hambletonian and 4-year period right then in 87, culminating with Harmonious in 1990. In the 90s, he won the North America Cup 6 times. And back in 95, he did something that's never been done since or before. He won the Hambletonian, the Meadowlands Pace, the Jug, and the North America Cup all in the same year, the only driver to do that. John was 46 years old when he surpassed 14 million back in 2001, the first driver ever to do that, his biggest year. When it comes to the big races, John has won a Triple Crown race called the Messenger 8 times. No one's won any Triple Crown race more than that. He has an uphill battle from here, though, because there have been 298 Breeders' Crown races through the years. Only 9 have been won by a driver 55 and older, so we'll see if John can add to his list of 44 Breeders' Crown wins. And maybe the 2 most impressive John Campbell stats are these. He went into the Hall of Fame in 1990. He's got $175 million in earnings since. That's more than any driver in history, with the exception of Michael Chance, and that's his entire career. And John is the Pace, Breeders' Crown, Hambo, and Triple Crown king.
Absolutely. When we talk about dominance, and we have to put you in that category, especially when it comes to statistical knowledge. So I have a stumper here, and I actually, because we didn't get one from our fans, I pulled this one out of the Trotting and Pacing Guide, which I think you will agree has more information than anybody could possibly comprehend. You have to have it.
It's a reference guide, it's a dictionary, it's encyclopedia, it's really a little bit of everything. Schedules, last year's winners, history of races, and stuff like that.
Well, here is a question from the past. That's a little bit of a hint for you. There have been 2 Trotting Triple Crown bridesmaids. That is a horse that finished 2nd in each leg of the Trotting Triple Crown. Can you name either of those 2 horses?
Oh, I hate when you do this to me. It's funny, I was looking through it last week, and I noticed that there weren't any pacers who finished 2nd in all the legs.
You're absolutely right.
So, but I didn't check, so I'm gonna have to not throw my hands in the air and the white flag up for that one.
All right, well, get back to studying that Trotting and Pacing Guide, because the answer is Caleb in 1961 and Florless in 1963. But you are right, there has never been a bridesmaid for the Pacing Triple Crown.
Yeah, that's and I love the Triple Crown. Is continues every year. We have 2 in harness racing, and we're just only a few weeks from the Derby for the Thoroughbred, so it's a fun time of year.
Absolutely. Holly, you have a great day.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Nikki and Bob. That was great. Paul, something caught my eye on the blogosphere this week. On the View from the Grandstand blog, which is published by Alan Schott in New Jersey, he proposed an idea of shortening the time between races and then also having tracks coordinate their race start times so that there's only one track going on at a time, which will hopefully improve the amount of money bet in each pool.
Yeah, I think a lot of tracks try to do that to a certain extent now, arranging their post times like around, say, the Meadowlands. But I think it would be very interesting to see this kind of cooperation going on throughout the sport, and it'd be an interesting concept.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Here They Come. I'd like to thank Matt Kakaley, Bob Hollywood Heyden, Nicole Kraft, and our producer, Rich Johnston. I'm Kate Lockhart.
And I'm Paul Bramlow.
Tune in next week for another episode of Here They Come.